two, one.
Hey, welcome back to A Faster Me. We're out here at Tour de Murrieta, stage one or day one. This is a 2-day Omnium. I see Ray right there trying to clip in. I gotta show him how to do that sometime. He said he always has a problem clipping in. Anyway, yeah, so Tour de Murrieta, at the beginning of the season, I had my sights pretty high, set pretty high on this race. This was gonna be my A race. Thought I'd be trying to compete for the Omnium, at least for day one. Day two is always just trying to survive for me. But yeah, things didn't work out the way I planned. Instead of, once I had a crash in January and then I switched coaches, instead of, coming in with this being my A race, I'm coming in at the end of a 3-week training block. And, now I'm headed towards recovery for this week. But anyway, I'm really just trying to get my mind right, and I thought I did. I got out to a good start. I'm sitting here in about 10th wheel or something. And that's what I wanted to do, stay in the top 10, top 15, stuff like that. But honestly, I just didn't have the legs for it today. I felt pretty, my legs carried, I carried a lot of fatigue into the race, and, it's going to show. The race was also incredibly surgy, which taxes your legs anymore. There's so much brake checking going into the corner. And then as you see, we hit 500 watts coming out. We're 5 to 800 watts every corner. And that's 35 minutes of 5 to 800 watts on a 5 or 6 corner crit. So yeah, I was definitely using a lot of energy. I was trying to race early, but I just, I ended up just finding it hard to hold my position. You see the stage 2 rider swings by, I jump on his wheel. Again, just trying to gain some positions here, hoping that it's a little smoother at the front. No matter what, it's always smoother at the front. But honestly, I just didn't have it to stay up there. As you can see, my heart rate's already 181. I max out at about 188 or so. For the most part, I'm going to be carrying about a 183 to 185 heart rate throughout the race. And I think even after falling back, I still averaged almost 180 beats per minute for the entire 35-minute crit. Also, I was over 250 watts for the crit, which just means you're working a little bit too hard for me. I'm not that high of an FTP guy, so I could have been a lot more efficient. This was not an efficient race, so hats off to everybody that dealt with the surging better than I did and stayed up front and kept a good finish. I would say this though, with it being a little chilly in the morning, it was a little damp also, got some wet paint lines and stuff like that, that it was a fairly safe race, even though it was pretty sketchy. You can tell there's a lot of new riders in here, and being able to navigate the corners and just holding lines was kind of elusive in this race. But that's why it's a 4-5 race. It's not knocking anyone. Hopefully the film will point some things out and let people know what they need to work on. For me, it's just really my mentality. I got to get my race mentality back and get my fitness where it needs to be. I think I'm coming into pretty good shape. Even though I, don't do well in this race, I'm coming into pretty good shape. This is at the end of a 3-week block, and I just simply didn't have any legs today. So not that big of a deal, honestly. I was a little depressed day of, because originally this was my A race, but it is what it is, and I just got to rebuild now. So anyway, coming out of that corner, a little 700 watt sprint, try to close the gap a little bit. We're still getting a pretty good draft here because we're going almost 30. We're doing 28 miles per hour, so the draft is elongated a little bit. So not sitting too bad or anything, still pretty much near the front. But overall, I think there's a few key spots where I missed opportunities to move up and save energy, and I just kept shuffling back. So you'll see here, I think it's on the next lap, there's a pretty close incident to a crash there. So one thing I would like to point out, I'm going to point it out a couple times, is I'm not sure if everybody understands the concept of dive bombing, but basically it's okay to go on the inside. It's okay to go inside, but you can't go late Right there, Scott moves up. He's a little late, but that turn's not that sharp, and obviously everybody's comfortable at different skill levels, and that's the whole key of dive bombing. You have to be able to make the turn. If you can't make the turn, then it's going to be basically your classic dive bomb. Scott's super strong. He almost gets taken out there by the stage 2 rider swinging wide, but Scott's super strong, and spoiler alert, he ends up winning the crit today. And then young man right there, I forgot his name, from Virginia, he ends up getting third today, and I think second overall in the Omnium. So, kudos to both those guys. They're both larger riders, and they're both very strong. So, they have good sprints, everything else. So it was really good riding by them, and, they made a good weekend of it. So down here, coming down the back straight's a good place to save a little bit of energy. But the problem is, again, cornering was not good. Cornering was not at a premium in this race, so everybody brake checked going into the turns, and then of course massive sprints out. Here it is again, just under 700 watts, little separation, and you gotta close that gap and get back up to 30 miles per hour or whatever. And honestly, you can tell already I'm fading. I just didn't have legs today. Most of you guys that follow my channel or know me, you obviously, I'm pretty sure you guys are confident that I shouldn't have any problems in a category 4 or 5 crit, but this day I did. There's Eli right there working hard, doing a great job as usual. But yeah, here, I think this is where it's at here. If you see the rider number 502 right here, he's kind of dive bombing the corner there and gets his front wheel caught on the SDBC rider, and luckily he saves it. He does what he's supposed to do and went into the wheel, not trying to go away from it, and he saved it. Almost ran into the fence there, because obviously when it breaks loose, when that tire breaks loose, you're all of a sudden going to swing to the left. But yeah, that came from him dive bombing the corner though, not trying to criticize him or anything, just calling out what I see. And basically, since everybody's brake checking, he tried to carry momentum into the corner late and just ran up on the SDBC rider right here, ran up on his back wheel and got it tangled. It's kind of funny because I'm not even sure the SDBC rider even knows that his back tire was hit there. So yeah, but neither one of them panicked. I probably panicked more than he did, because I said, oh, you're about to take all of us out, and then of course he saved it. And that's just it was a bad decision originally that turned into a good bike handling move in the long run. But on race day is not where we need to practice bike handling. It's where we need to execute good bike handling. So I think that's Mario, just goes up in front of me right here. Mario and I worked together really well with the big group on day 2. But for day 1, I was a spectator on day 1. I'm just out there trying to hang in. My legs are feeling like, pretty much like balloons right now. It was from the beginning, even during warm-up, they're just feeling like balloons. So I didn't know what I was going to have today. I was hoping and praying that, that they warmed up or opened up a little bit. But, it is what it is. I just carried some fatigue into the race, and it's all I had today. So also, the pace is pretty good. I mean, I think we averaged mid 26s for the race. That's not too bad. I mean, mid 26 for a Cat 4 or 5 race. I think that's a pretty good pace. And again, no crashes. The only thing was that there was just a lot of brake checking going into the corner. So, but overall, the race was pretty aggressive. I think that's more what it is. It's not that it was necessarily fast, because I think the year before, I think 2021, the race was a little faster, but it was also a little smoother. And yeah, it was just a different race, and I was a different rider at the time. So in here, I'm just doing as much as I can to try to hold on and stay in the race. And honestly, at this point, we're only 10 minutes in, and I already knew I was in trouble. Look at my heart rate's 183. No way I should be maxed out here. I'm just not being efficient. You can see the big gaps in front of me. Just got to be a little more assertive. Move over, get a wheel. There's someone to my right here though, so don't think I'm just like not getting that wheel. But I also could have been a little more aggressive and just bumped him over a little bit. And I don't mean touching, I just mean easing over. Here when he jumps on, when he jumps in front of me, as you see, I'm at 185 heart rate, so I obviously need to get a way to recover. And I think this is some of the opportunities that I missed. I could have moved up on some of these downhill. Right there wasn't a chance to do it, but what I did do was I tail gunned there, so I didn't have to hit my brakes. And that's there's some pros and cons on tail gunning, especially in a race like this. Tail gunning's great, but the problem you have is you have the chance of being shuffled back if you're going to tail gun, because once you let that gap open up so you can release your brakes or never touch your brakes, someone can easily slide into there. And because the race has so much surging going on, that's often what happened. And next thing you know, I'm at the back of the pack and just trying to survive. Here again is another opportunity where I could move up a lot of spots, and I didn't really take good advantage of it. At the end of the straight, everybody slows down pretty much when we cross the start-finish line, and that's a time where I could have just used the inside and at least move up 3, 4, 5 places each lap. But honestly, I'm struggling, fading. Yeah, it may sound like a broken record, but that's what I'm doing. I'm struggling today. A lot of people were asking me like, "Hey, what's going on?" They know that's not. They probably didn't expect it from me either to be this far back. But I got to rebuild myself. Got to rebuild my confidence. Got to rebuild my fitness. I'm working on it. I'm doing that now. But at the same time, I'm paying the price a little bit with some sacrifices here and there. So as you can see, we do have a problem with holding lines. I'm going to point out some things a little bit later. Shout out to Ray right there from Serious Cycling. Ray's been riding pretty good this year as well. But here's the time. So everyone's coasting. I need to move up right here. Just shoot up the inside, slide back over to the right before the turn. This is one of the areas where I really didn't take advantage of the opportunities I had. I could make up a good 15, 20 spots right there when everyone was coasting. But instead, I chose to rest. And choosing to rest, it's great, it's needed, but at the same time, it keeps you in that same position that you're in, and you already know what you're going to get. I'm back here now with a lot more newer riders. And again, I don't mean to offend anyone, or, I'm not really talking about you as a person, or not necessarily even as a rider. I'm just calling out what I see. And back here, there's not, the bike handling's not good back here. The cornering's not good back here. When you approach a turn, you should be able to judge your speed, make one turning input, hold your line through the turn, accelerate out. And you'll see, like most of our turns, there's going to be people making 3, 4, 5 inputs, just really kind of wavy cornering. And yeah, that's not, it's not that safe for one, and two, it just makes people unpredictable. When you get back here, a lot of riders are not as aware of their surroundings. They don't really know who's to the left of them, who's to the right. Most of us are just seeing red right now and trying to catch up, and that just gives you tunnel vision, and then more incidents happen towards the back of the pack. And to some degree, it's lucky because I am watching out for myself, but also when you are watching out for yourself, you end up being a little tentative and you ride a little safe back there, and that doesn't help you move up either. I really just shouldn't be back here, but physically I think that's where I was on this day. I just, I don't have the power in my legs that I should have. So if you guys can see, like, I talk to people in different states and stuff like that, and I think some people don't realize, like, Southern California is a pretty fast bike racing scene. There's a lot of fast riders out here. I think we need to get our skill levels up a little bit because people are sometimes stronger than they are skillful, myself included. But Southern California is fast, and not only are we fast, our crits are big. We have 75 riders max in every crit for the most part. They're all sold out. From at least Cat 4, Cat 5, a lot of the Cat 3, 4 races also get sold out. So, yeah, it's a good place to be to ride a bike fast. And with that comes a comes a fast learning curve, but it also comes a little danger in it. So kudos to everyone in this race for keeping it safe. There's a lot of opportunities where people can go down, and to my knowledge, no one hit the blacktop today. So there's Eli moving up on my left. I should have jumped on him. I know Eli and Jack, they work pretty hard, and I just found out in this race there's another Jack that kind of resembles Jack Watson. So I saw the Jack in here, and I told him I was on his left, and he kind of looked at me weird, and I was like, that's weird. And then I saw Jack Watson pass me a couple seconds later, and I was like, what the heck is going on? I could have sworn Jack was just up in front of me. And after the race, I find out there's two Jacks, and they have the same like body type and stuff. Just one wears the black helmet, and Jack Watson wears the white helmet like Eli has right there. So, at this point too, like, it kind of settled a little bit, and I can tell I'm far back, but I thought I was okay for a second. I thought like, okay, let's get a little breather. My heart rate's starting to drop a little bit. And again, I think this is probably critical point number 2 is right here. I need to move up at the end of this straight. When everyone starts to coast, I need to not coast and go ahead and shoot up the left side here. And, it's basically, it could be a block pass, not a dive bomb. I can move up next to someone just on their side, and they won't be able to turn until I turn. But I need to move up here. And I kind of didn't want to be so far to the left there going into the turn, but honestly, I needed to do it. We're going to surge out of that corner anyway. I should have moved up at least to past that next serious cycling rider, and I would have made up a good 10 spots right there. And I should have a little more sense of urgency right now to move up. It's just needed. I can't stay back here and maintain all this surging. If you look again, we're just at 700 watts again coming out of the corner. And in the front, I'd probably be doing 500 watts up there in the front. And I'm feeling it now, like I'm really dying. My heart rate's not even getting up as high as it was, and that's just sometimes how, like, you're starting to pop sometimes. So that energy just drops, and you don't really have the muscle in your legs anymore or whatever to keep that pace. So again, it bunches up here. I should swing around or just keep going and make up a couple spots here. But instead, I chose to rest again and just filed right into the back of some riders. And that was another opportunity where I could have made up a couple spots. Anytime it goes from fast to slow, or if it's going to go from slow to fast, that's the time that you can either attack or move up. Kind of liking SDBC's new colors. Also, they changed from black and red to blue and black and blue this year, and I like that tint of blue. Yeah, this is punishing me right now. Coming out of each corner, having to hit almost 500 watts, this is punishment. And it should be a lesson to everybody. Don't stay back here. This is the textbook example of the accordion effect right here. It's gonna bunch up and string out, bunch up and string out, and you're just gonna be putting in so many watts back here. So right there, number 536, that's the other Jack. I don't know his last name, but I thought it was Jack Watson for a second, just because I didn't even know they had another Jack. And I tell him right there that I'm on his left, because I plan on going through this corner with him. And I knew it kind of something was wrong because he went really wide. And I was thinking, okay, normal Jack wouldn't do that. He would have held his line. But he went a little wide, and it's probably because he doesn't know me. He probably didn't trust me. So he took it really wide there. And I think later at the end of this straight, maybe the other Jack passes me, and that's when I noticed, like, wait a minute, where did he come from? There's two of them in the race. And Jack Watson, he actually rode really well this weekend too. I think he got two good finishes. I don't know, 2 top 15s, top 10s. I don't know. But either way, he rode really well. Stayed, I think, with the front group on the circuit race. Also, the next day, I mean, little spoiler alert, but the next day is brutal. We raced first thing in the morning, cold, wet, rainy, just a hard race. Originally after this race was over, I was scratching my head, and there's Jack right there. There's Jack Watson. I don't know what he was doing back here so long either. He's normally, up towards the front. But yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't able to jump on him. As you can see, my heart rate's just about maxed out again. I'm almost at Pop City, but I'm struggling. I'm trying to keep on. I'm telling myself, hey, just make it to the last couple laps, make something happen. And, it's a struggle for me here. But I gotta give it to you guys. I mean, everyone in this field, it's a race. It's not this is not your casual group ride right here. I mean, there's a lot of sprinting going on. I don't know. I probably should have had some 30 by 30s this week, or 40 20s or something. I don't know what would have prepared me for this type of accordion back here, other than get your butt out of there and get to the front. So now I'm at the point where I'm so far back that, yeah, you're going to start seeing some really weird line choices back here, and it's hard to figure out sometimes. I don't know. Cornering should be natural to all of us at this point if you're racing. I think this is it's kind of controversial topic, I guess, because no one wants to spend money, extra money. No one wants to do classes or anything that they think are not beneficial. But when I raced motorcycles, you couldn't get a race license without finishing a rider school first. And even in that rider school, not only did we have to have all the classroom stuff, learn what how proper cornering is, learn what an apex is, learn how to go outside in out or out in out, learning the fast line, the race line, the defensive line, things like that. Not only did we have to do those things, we also had to go out on course, ride pretty fast with an instructor following you to make sure that you can demonstrate the proper race lines, the proper riding lines. And we had to do all three lines. We had to do a fast line, a so-called race line, and then like a defensive line. In addition to that, we had to finish the lap within a certain time. And maybe we don't have to do all of that in cycling, but I think for sure you should not be able to enter a race until you have finished a full race clinic. And I don't mean just the new rider school that they do before the Cat 5 race. That's not extensive enough. It doesn't cover enough things. I think the sport would just be a lot safer, and we wouldn't have as many controversies and crashes and injuries if everybody was required to finish some type of race clinic by a central organization or whatever to get your race license, instead of just getting a bike the first day ever on a bike, thinking that you're fast, come out, you buy a one-day license and race. Kind of doesn't make sense to me, but I know promoters and different people just want to do anything they can to get people into the sport. So unfortunately, they kind of relax some of the standards and stuff like that, and just tell you to come out and jump in a race, pretty much after 1 month or something of riding a bike. So anyway, that's just my little soapbox, and you'll see what I mean a little bit later. Unfortunately, I'll have to use a rider as an example, but you'll see a little bit later, like some of the line choices that people take, especially like in my wife's race also in the women's 345, and they also had the Masters 35 plus in there. You'll see some of the line choices and just people's inability to hold a line, things like that. Yeah, it definitely could be a lot safer, and they end up having a big crash. So I don't know, maybe 8 to 10 riders went down or something. So here I think we have just a couple laps left. I don't know how many, but as you can see, I am really getting distance now. Heart rate's been up there forever. Yeah, I really just don't have much left. I just feel like, like I've been squatting all day. Yeah, can't do much about it. It's kind of disappointing, honestly. It was very disappointing on the day. I always keep good spirits though, because we're racing bikes. That's just all it is. I was out there racing a bike. It's not like I'm expected to win the race anyway or anything like that. But for me, I was hoping to be able to challenge this weekend for this crit. So right here, number 592 passes me, and I jump on his wheel, and I tell him, this is one of the examples I was talking about. I tell him I'm right here, like I'm behind him or whatever. So he looks at me a couple times, which not really necessary, but he acknowledges, and then he simply doesn't turn. I don't know what he was doing. He just didn't turn and almost runs off the course. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm not really knocking him. Obviously, he's strong. He's going to actually pass me again in a little while. But yeah, skill-wise, you have to be able to corner your bike. Not to mention the races in front of you. I don't know if he thought I was going to hit him from behind or something. The races in front of you, pay attention, judge your speed, look at your apex, look up, have your head up, looking through the turn, and just go ahead and make your turn in. And I'm behind you, so it's my responsibility not to hit you. You should never be worried about riders coming from behind hitting you. Obviously, if you see someone, in your peripheral vision pull up and dive bomb or something, yeah, you may have to adjust. But for the most part, don't worry about the rider that's on your wheel. Ride your ride, take the line you want to take, especially in that situation, because he had more energy than I had. So I was going to ride his wheel back up to the group. As you see, he's passing me again now. So obviously he still has some juice in him, but yeah, you definitely got to improve your cornering ability and just your awareness. And again, I'm not knocking you. I'm not trying to criticize you. I mean, you can see I'm back here getting dropped in a race. It's not about being fast or strong or anything like that, but there are certain things we have to improve just to keep everyone safe. So that's pretty much it for me. I think we have one lap to go now, so I pretty much detached from the group with 2 laps to go. Yeah, and I knew I was done, like I just didn't have anything else. And what's crazy is the whole peloton slows down right now. They actually started coming back a second, and I almost thought for a second, like, oh shoot, they're gonna let me back in this, which was delusional. Of course, I'm not gonna close this, 200-yard gap or whatever. But yeah, if I could have held on for just a second, a couple seconds more, but it didn't matter. I was still at the back. I'm not going to pass 40-something people, 50 people by now. I don't know how many people a bunch of people got pulled from this race, so there's actually a lot of people that were off the back that never finished. I think I was one of the last people that finished that did not get pulled, but we had a field of 75. I don't even remember what place I came in, but I don't know, somewhere around 40, 30 something, I don't know, 50. I don't really know what place it was. But yeah, just one lap to go. I think my wife's having some type of fit, coughing up. I don't know if you guys can hear her back there. But anyway, yeah, one lap to go, and I got detached, and yeah, I just cruised it kind of in. Yeah, I was scratching my head here. I was just like, wow, how did I miss my fitness that much? I think I tell Pat that Pat was like, telling his boys, the Go Fast crew, like, hey, 2 to go, keep the pace hot, like, let's go. And I don't know if they had it in them still. I mean, all that surging, like, everyone kind of slowed down these last 2 laps. And, it was kind of surprising to me that the pace didn't stay real hot. But at the same time, it didn't matter to me either because I'm not in it anymore. So anyway, yeah, I'll bore you guys with this last little lap and kind of tell you what's been going on with me for this year. So anyway, like I said, everybody knows I had a crash at the beginning of the year, had concussion for a little while, kept me off the bike for almost a month. I mean, I was able to ride after 2 weeks, but I wasn't really able to ride with any intensity, so I lost a lot of fitness. I also switched coaches. I went from Chaz Torman, who I've been with for the last year and a half or so, 2 years, and I switched to Cinch. There was nothing wrong with Chaz or anything like that. I switched because, some of you already know that I coach a number of people as well, a number of racers. That's really what I am passionate about, is coaching. And what I wanted was a polar opposite experience, and I'm getting it right now. Like, the training that I'm doing now is 100% different than the training I've been doing for the last 2 years. Obviously, I'm going to need an adjustment period for my body to get used to it. And to top that off, too, I missed almost a month of racing and riding. So, I'm just start kind of almost having a restart here. Um, just with my confidence being down, also, I was almost getting ready to give up on cinch. I was like, oh man, maybe this is a failed experience. But honestly, yeah, I'm not going to give up just yet, because my mind is not right. I'm not actually out here racing the way I can and the way I know I can. So until I fix my racing mind, get that race mentality back, be more assertive, make the moves that I'm supposed to move, I definitely can't put too much emphasis on my physical ability when my mental ability is not where it needs to be. So once my mental uh, my race brain is back, then I'm sure my physical ability will start kicking in a little more too. Because right now, if you're full of doubt, it just chips away at your confidence, and it's hard to bring out your physical ability if your mind is doubting pretty much everything you're doing. So anyway, thanks for watching. That's pretty much it. I do a bike throw at the line and cruise it on in, and watch the rest of the races and try to get ready for tomorrow's race. So again, thanks for watching, and see you at day 2, and then I'll see you at CBR next week.